Hello, everyone, and welcome to this evening's Parent and Family Forum. And thanks to all of you for joining us. I'm Eric Lasan, Senior Associate Director for Parent Engagement. And before we begin, I'd like to share a few logistical items. This session will operate much like a webinar. We've taken the questions submitted by you in advance and built them into our panelist remarks. In addition, Abby Kale, Senior Associate Director of Alumni and Parent Engagement, will be monitoring additional questions submitted via the Q&A tab and making sure those questions get to our panelists. The microphone on your computer will not be active during this meeting. Abby and I will also serve as our technical support this evening. You can use the same Q&A function if you're having technical difficulties as well, and we will be in touch with you by phone to help if possible. Our conversation this evening will be moderated by Dr. Olivia Muñoz, and we're also joined by a fantastic panel of student affairs professionals from both our Portland and Salem campuses. Our panelists are excited to share information about their programs with a focus on programming support and success for our first-year students. Now, I'll introduce our moderator this evening. Dr. Muñoz is an interdisciplinary student affairs professional with more than 11 years experience in student support, residential education, and social justice programming. Prior to serving in her current role as Dean of Students for Community Care and Inclusion at our Salem campus, Oli served as Associate Dean of Students at the Pacific Northwest College of Art in Portland and as the Director of Residential Life at Mills College in Oakland, California. She has twice served in the Student Life Team for the Study Abroad program semester at sea. Her experience includes student activism development, support for undocumented students and first-generation scholars, and community partnerships with arts, immigrant, and Latinx nonprofits. Thanks, Oli, for leading this evening's forum, and now I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Eric. Hi, everyone. We are so happy to be with you this evening. These webinars have proven to be a really, really great collective space for parents and families to learn about our services, about the people behind those services, and to get inspiration and ideas from other parents who might be asking questions that you don't have. So we're hopeful that we can provide some really good information that helps you support your student at Willamette. That's our whole thing. That's what we're here to do. So I'm going to invite each panelist to share a little bit about themselves. But first I wanted to talk about our fall move-in, which went really well this year. Our orientation is called Opening Days, and it really is that introduction into the campus. We had over 500 brand new students in this incoming class join us on the Portland campus, and then another couple hundred up in Portland. We had some pre-orientation programs that went really well and hopefully gave students the chance to begin before the beginning. And we've noticed just a really, really high energy in this class and on campus overall. So we're really excited to be with you today. I'm going to have the folks introduce themselves. I'll start with Don Thomson first, and then I'll pass it off to Lisa Holliday.
Thanks, Oli. Hi, everyone. I'm Don Thomson. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the Associate Dean for Health and Wellbeing, and I am also the Director of Bishop Wellness Center, which is our student health and counseling center on campus.
We'll go to Lisa, and then Chris is on deck.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lisa Holliday. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm Associate Dean of Students and Director of Student Engagement and Leadership. So some of the areas that our office oversees includes the clubs and organizations, intramurals and club sports, the outdoor program, and some of the large events on campus.
Thank you, Lisa. Chris, you're next, and then Heather.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. Chris Potts, and I am the Dean of Students of Community Care and Inclusion at Pacific Northwest College of Art, so PNCA. I'm excited to be here with you. In my role, I oversee the student affairs functions at the PNCA campus, which includes our Office of Student Affairs, Residence Life Art House, and then our health coach and educator as well for the campus.
Thank you, Heather. And then to round us off will be Eric at the end.
Hi there. Thanks so much. My name's Heather. I serve as the Director of Residence Life and Student Conduct. So happy to have you here and excited to share a little bit more about our program with you all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Eric Thomas. I am Bon Appetit here at Willamette, and I'm your go-to person for anything dining at Gowdy Commons, and I use he, him pronouns.
Thank you all so much. So our panelists, each of us we'll go over our area, and I can start with that, and we can, you all should feel free to put your questions into the Q&A section. Our lovely folks will help us moderate that, and we'll attend to any of your needs to the best of our ability. So just let us know what you need. So if we go to the next slide, I can start with my area. I didn't say my full title, but Eric was able to introduce me. I'm the Dean of Students for Community Care and Inclusion. And there are several areas that fall under my purview. I work with a team of really, really fine folks and collaborators across campus to really bring your students a good, holistic, and supportive experience at Willamette. Some of the things that I'm in charge of here are individual student care response, basic needs. We have a center that helps with some basic food pantry items. We have a book drive where students who have a financial need and maybe need some book assistance, we have resources for that. And we also have donated professional clothes for students looking to do interviews or starting their jobs. We have an Office of Multicultural Affairs, which is the former name. It recently changed names into Intercultural Engagement, but it has a mission to serve underrepresented students that can be students of color, first generation college students, and lots of other folks to bring them information around identity, intercultural issues, and celebrations around different affinities. There's also the Student Center for Equity and Empowerment, which is a large lounge. Students use it to study, to program, and to hold club meetings. I oversee the director for the Gender Resource and Advocacy Center, which has a lot of programming and information around gender, sexual education, LGBTQ issues, and lots of other stuff. And the director also serves as a confidential advocate for students. I have resources for DACA and undocumented students. We can work individually in a confidential manner or in a private manner to help students. And then things around bias incidents and inclusion efforts. If you look on your left side of the screen right now, we're gearing up for Latinx Heritage Month. And so we try to use these months as a way to celebrate students from that background, but also a way to invite the community to learn and be in celebration with these different backgrounds. So just highlighting that. Next slide. The center that I mentioned turned 10 years old last year. There are lots of different programs that go on through that. We have a new director who we hired there named Julian Corpus. And I mentioned the pre-orientation programs earlier in the welcome, but one of them is Ohana. Some of you might be parents or family members of students who did that pre-orientation program for underrepresented students. We offer peer mentoring, student club support, like I mentioned, campus-wide heritage celebrations, and end of the year affinity celebrations for graduates. Lots of different resources. I won't read each one, but that is one of the focuses of the area in my purview, along with general student support. And like I said, we work with folks across campus to do that, whether students are struggling in the classroom or in their residence halls. We collaborate and meet on a regular basis to attend to student needs as they come up. And so now I'll turn it over to the next slide, and we'll go to Don to talk about Bishop Wellness Center.
Hi, everyone. So thank you again for taking the time to meet with us this evening. Fielded a lot of the questions ahead of time. Thank you for sending those in. For the folks on students and families for our Salem campus, a lot of the questions obviously were around the update on our health center. So just as a quick reminder, we sent out a note in August, I believe, early August, excuse me. It just outlined some of the staffing shortages that we were seeing and turnover on our health center, which means we weren't able to offer health services. I want to honor the search process that we were in, but trust that we have been working diligently. With apologies for the vague language there, I just don't want to jinx anything. I do expect to be able to make an announcement here very quickly, and then open up for services soon after that. So looking forward to that. For folks on the PNCA campus, so Chris mentioned in his introduction that he supervises our health educator and coach. And this is a new position, and it is designed to help students navigate sort of the systems to get access to care off campus, on campus too, but in this context, navigating care off campus. So there are a number of urgent care places proximate to campus and the downtown office. And Hunter, who is our new health coach, does a remarkable job just walking alongside students and navigating the really complicated, insurance process and figuring out transportation for them and those things as well. A couple of things. Switching gears to COVID. Perhaps you've heard, the relative uptick nationally in COVID. The Oregon Health Authority just last week sent out a message to all of Oregon and basically just said, hey, we've got a new variant, and it's the same message. And the message is this. We are expecting to see sort of seasonal peaks and valleys to COVID. As a normal and expected response as the pandemic has progressed. And all of the mitigation strategies that were useful in previous variants are still working, which means up to date with your vaccinations, masking works, all of those things remain relevant. One little thing that I say often when I'm talking with students and families around COVID, in March of this last year, the CDC really made a pivot away from using cases, like the number of cases, to drive public health guidance, because as we know, it's hard to get a number that there's so many home tests going on. Cases are a hard number to wrap your hands around. So instead, what the public health partners are doing is using hospitalizations. That's a more easily and verifiable tracking system. And so public health guidance is responding to hospitalization trends. We are still way below any of the peaks at any of the other points in the pandemics, which is why you're not hearing the alarm bells ring in the same way that they were earlier in the pandemic. So just as a reminder. Also, just this week, the CDC just approved a new COVID vaccine for everybody 6 months and older. We expect to roll that out here in really the next couple of days. I know that there were a lot of questions around, are we going to have COVID shots on campus and flu shots on campus? Until we get a health provider, the answer is going to be no. I expect to have flu shots available on campus. I'm not sure about the COVID shots. And the reason for that is related to insurance. We don't bill insurance in our office, which is a good and bad thing, right? Students can access us no matter what. But that also means that we would have to charge students for those shots, give them a bill, and have you all track down reimbursement with your insurance provider. And so what we find is most students just find a local pharmacy that is close to them that will have the vaccine. I expect those to be available probably later this week. COVID testing. If you haven't already, please encourage your students to go pick up some at-home COVID tests now. Do not wait until they're sick. Just go get a stack of them. They are available at all of the stores. They've got some in the bookstore on campus. So please go have your student pick up some COVID tests on hand and keep them on hand. Lastly, on the counseling side, we've got services available on both campuses, on our Salem campus and on our PNCA campus. We have physical counseling presence. We're a little short-staffed on our Salem campus in the short term, but that hopes to be remedied by December. I will be back to full staff by December. And I will also say, there is additional counseling support through UWill. So UWill is a private telehealth company that we have contracted with. Every Willamette and PNCA student gets enough credits for 8 free counseling sessions every academic year. It is free to them. There are posters all over campus with QR codes that they can scan. That is in addition to and separate from the services available in my office. So lots of resources available for students who want to make an appointment with counseling services on either the Salem or PNCA campus. Just give the front desk a call. We'll get you scheduled. and see you. So I will stop there. I'll turn it over to, I believe, Lisa Holiday.
Thanks, Dawn. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that we have going on right now on campus. I know I have a lot of information on this slide, so if you want to take a picture of it, maybe save it for later when these type of conversations come up with your student. Right now, we just finished the Activities Expo, which is a great way for students to learn about all the opportunities we have for getting engaged on campus. And for those of you who are part of your students' recruitment process and maybe came to Bearcat Days or something, you know, we have a lot of clubs and a lot of opportunities for students to be involved and to assume leadership. And so we just had our expo. We know that students signed up for a lot of things, and your student might have been one of those as well. Those clubs and organizations are going to start meeting soon and putting on events. So that is a great way for new students to get involved, to meet some people, to pursue interests that they held in high school, but also to try out some new things. Some other ways that students can get involved in activities outside a classroom, I've listed them here. I could take a few slides to list all the possibilities, but we do have opportunities to serve on university committees. We have fraternities and sororities. We have Willamette Events Board, Willamette Dance Company. If your student has a dance background or none at all, they do a one show at the end of each semester, and their auditions are coming up. And then our outdoor program has posted their fall 2023 trip schedule. Those are great opportunities to meet students, and we have a wide variety of opportunities and experience levels of students to try those out. One thing I didn't mention is also we have quite a bit going on in the residence halls, which I know Heather will talk about as well, but those are leadership opportunities and involvement opportunities as well, our hall councils, our residence hall association. Again, so just a few of our many opportunities for students to get engaged outside the classroom. And then a lot of times I get questions from parents and family members like, how does my student know what's going on? So I listed some things that I thought of how your students might stay connected and hear about the daily activities. And so checking their email, which is always a good idea, even when you're not looking for ways to get involved outside the classroom. Just in general, your students should be checking their email regularly, but also we have a variety of newsletters available not only in the bathroom, but through email. We have a texting service. Your students, if they're a first year student on the Salem campus, they're going to be going to a Chase session every week. I attend one of those Chase sessions, as like a lot of us do, and the Colloquium Associates highlight events every week that are going on campus and opportunities to get involved. So those are just a few of the ways that your students can find out what's happening on campus. And then we can move to the next slide. Another area, as I mentioned earlier, that our department oversees is the campus recreation area. And our goals with campus recreation are for students to engage with friends and a community, and also just to help them with their health and well-being as a student on our campus. And so listed some ways that students can get involved in the campus recreation area. We do have the Spark Center on campus with all of the amenities listed. We have a wonderful program called Lift Up on Saturdays and Sundays from 4 to 6, which is an opportunity for students who may not feel comfortable in a gym environment, may not have experience in a fitness center. It's a great way for them to become acquainted with the space and also get some personalized attention on how to use the equipment. We have one-day tournaments and opportunities to play sports called intramurals. We have lots of club sports, from very casual like pickleball and volleyball to teams that compete with other schools in the area like soccer and rugby. And then finally, as I already mentioned, we have a very active outdoor program. And not only do we have opportunities to sign up for pre-planned trips where students can be provided transportation, and experienced leaders will take them on those adventures. We also have equipment rental available for students, and we have everything from clothing to sleeping bags to tents to cooking equipment, camp stoves, things like that, so they can also plan their own adventure. And I think, I can't remember who I'm passing it off to. Oh, Dr. Chris, there you go.
Thank you, Lisa. So I want to talk to you all a little bit about just some of the ways that we work to support students who are at the PNCA campus. As I mentioned earlier, in my role, I oversee, one of the areas that I oversee is the Office of Student Affairs here on campus. And on that campus, that includes our Director of Student Affairs, our Director of Student Affairs, our area coordinator who oversees the residential experience for students living in Art House, and then also it also includes our health coach and educator. So that team altogether collectively in a variety of ways really works to make sure that students are engaged in their community and engaged on campus. Within student affairs, we work to support student leadership opportunities through our various student councils. So we have an undergraduate student council and we have a graduate student council, which are leadership opportunities that are paid positions for our students here on this campus, and so really serves as a critical voice to really promote change, but then also to really collaborate with the administration, collaborate with each other to really put on some really amazing, be it programs or make things happen for students. Really serves as the voice for students. We also offer a number of clubs and organizations that are registered through our office and that can run the gamut of a variety of different types. We also have some affinity-based clubs and organizations. So for folks, whether that be identity-based groups or any of that nature, we have organizations and groups that supports that as well. Another student leadership opportunity is just some of our office assistants. Within our residence life area, we have an area coordinator for Art House, and Heather, Dr. Croft, will talk about residence life here shortly. But here in Portland, Art House is where our first year students live, where they have resident advisors who serve as the connection for those students on their floors and really helping them get acclimated to their experience living in Portland in the residential community through intentional conversations, through engagement, and then with our area coordinator, our residence life coordinator, working to support the resident advisors and that residential living experience in Art House for our students. Dawn mentioned earlier that we have a new position that we have been able to bring on our campus. That is Hunter, who is our health coach and educator, who really has served in a critical space for our students on our campus, as we don't have a health center, but Hunter really serves as a critical connection point for students as they're navigating their experience coming from home from the first time, really working to understand not only what their insurance means and does for them, but then for students who are accessing services in the community, whether that is physical health or mental health services, Hunter is serving as that bridge to be able to help support students and navigate through that, along with a host of other types of aspects and educational areas that she's able to work with and help our students better understand as they're navigating this space for the first time. So we really are excited about that position and her as an addition to our team. Some of the other things that we do here on our campus for engagement, we engage in some outdoor adventures. So next week, we're going to be going to Manzanita, taking a bunch of students to the coast. We take trips to Multnomah Falls, just different ways that we try and get our students out and about and into the beautiful pieces of nature here in Portland. We also have great activities on campus that are student-led and student-planned. So right now it seems early, but we're in the midst of beginning stages of planning our Halloween party, which for our students here is a really big event. And so they're getting excited about that. And then we also host facilitate a student art sale, which is work that is by the students that they are selling to other students, to community members who come in to our campus. We have a lot of intentional peer engagement. So knowing that some of our students are coming in as transfer students, we really work intentionally with those students. Currently, we work in collaboration with our academic partners to help support the transfer student seminar, where their weekly gathering. It is optional, but we work together with our academic side of the house to really help support that experience for those students, and then offer transfer student social. And then also for students who identify as first generation, we also look at ways to support them, whether it be through a social and other engagements. We really ask our students, in terms of staying involved and up to date, to really continue to check their WU email account, because a lot of information comes to them through that format. So we do encourage that. But then also the Office of Student Affairs provides a monthly newsletter that really focuses in on PNCA specific events for students, so that they can know what's going on, whether it be from Art House for Residence Life or through just the Office of Student Affairs as a whole. Next slide, please. The next piece that I want to talk to folks about. Another piece of my role is that I work and to support and foster belonging and inclusion efforts here at PNCA. And so with that, working collaboratively with the Salem campus and many of the campus partners there to promote our different Heritage Month programming and our different Awareness Month celebrations that we do facilitate. We do work and offer sometimes workshops that are centered on identity and conflict and bias. And then we also offer advocacy and support. So I talked a little bit about this, affinity groups. Some examples of some affinity groups that we have on our campus. We have our Student of Color Coalition affinity group, and then we also have an affinity group for our neurodivergent students. So students who identify as neurodivergent, we do have spaces for them. And we support that. And then also we have, mediation and facilitation around identities as well. So again, really work to support and advocate for that. And then in terms of community and belonging, depending on what's maybe happening, we do offer socials and lunches and affinity-based networking and community building events. And also these things are promoted through our Student Affairs newsletter. So with that, that's all that I have. I will pass it on to Dr. Heather Kropp.
Thank you. Hello again, my name is Heather, Director of Res Life and Student Conduct. I'll share a little bit with you about the benefits of living on campus, the supports that we have for students living on campus, ways that students can get involved, and other important dates that you might want to keep record of. We have a live-on requirement at both of our campuses. At Portland, it's a first-year live-on requirement. And at our Salem campus, we have a 2-year live-on requirement, and also options for upper division, junior, and senior students to live on campus in apartment-style living areas for our Salem campus. And there's a lot of research out there about the benefits of living on campus. And so it's why we have a live-on requirement, is because students who live on campus have higher GPAs, they foster better connections, they have more time, they graduate faster, they're retained at higher rates, just to name a few benefits of living on campus. We also have a lot of supports for our students. I'm live answering one question about our resident advisor, but by now, our resident advisors, we have one resident advisors to about 40 residents, both at our Portland and our Salem campus. And RAs should be facilitating community gatherings that happen during orientation if your student was a new student. They have structured one-on-one conversations with every resident twice a term, and these are really an opportunity for a resident advisor to spend structured time individually with every student to talk with them about living on campus, life at Willamette, all those kinds of things. Your students have also, if they're living with someone, have facilitated and gone through a roommate agreement process where both people can talk through about their expectations of each other and how to live together well. They do plan these weekly social engagement activities also that could be going to our dining venue for our Salem campus or board game nights, but there should be low structured events that really include everyone that's in the community. We do have residence life coordinators, 4 of them at our Salem campus, 1 at our Portland campus. And these are full-time staff who live in a residence hall. And they really are assisting with student learning and growth in our residential communities. The RLCs will meet individually with students to provide them opportunities to develop through structured monthly programs, activities. They help get students connected to resources. They'll facilitate conduct meetings if there's a policy violation that a student has engaged in. And they also serve an emergency response capacity throughout the year to really ensure security and safety of our students. RLCs are often a point of contact when we know a student could really use a friendly face to check in on them. And so we really, our RLCs are just amazing resources for our students on campus. Lisa alluded to our Hall Councils and Residence Hall Association. Both of our campuses have opportunities for students to plan programs and plan social events for their community. All of our students are paying an activity fee, and part of that money goes to this governing group to plan social events. So we've done a lot of leading by example for the first 2 weeks, but we're in the process of recruiting for students to be able to plan and host social and potentially educational events for students in their residence hall community. So if they haven't yet heard about it, I would just encourage them to check out or talk to their resident advisor or the residence life coordinator. We also send out monthly newsletters. So I know at Portland, that is all in conjunction with our Res Life coordinator that goes into that newsletter, but we at our Salem campus also have newsletters that are sent out individually to our residents as well. So yes. And lastly, some just important dates for both during fall and spring. We are open, but we ask students to register to stay on campus just to make sure that we know who is here and who is with us, so we can plan accordingly for our on-call purposes, but also just be able to check in on students maybe that we know have potentially been struggling. For our Salem campus, we do not have food services during that fall and spring break. We do close our residence halls on Friday 15th at noon, and we open them back up on Saturday, January 13th at 9 a.m. If a student is in need to stay over a break, they can register for a fee. Just to let everyone know, we like to share that. And our residence halls close at the end of the academic year on May 9th at noon. I'm trying to think other things. We do have opportunities for students to live on campus over summer. So it's never too early to start planning for the summer breaks. We can always house students at our Portland and our Salem campus, and students who are at our Salem campus that want to live in Portland for the summer can do that, and vice versa. So that's another benefit of having a campus in both places. If you ever do have questions, I'm going to put our email in the chat here, so you have them. We have an email for our Salem campus and our email for our Portland campus. So I'll put that in the chat, but please, I'll try to live answer questions as we go through. We're so happy to help you. And if you have a question later, please feel free to call our offices. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Thank you. And I'll pass it off to Eric.
Thank you so much for being here. For those of you that don't know who we are, not familiar with Bon Appetit, we are an on-site restaurant company offering full food service management to corporations, universities, museums, and specialty venues. Our food is cooked from scratch, including sauces, stocks, and soups, salsa as well. We have been a pioneer in environmentally sound sourcing policies. We've developed programs addressing local purchasing, overuse of antibiotics, sustainable seafood, the food climate change connection, humanely raised meats and eggs, and farm workers' rights. We're grateful to have been recognized by many leading foundations, nonprofits, and industry associations for our work. I personally have been with Bon Appetit for 5 years, and I've been at Willamette for 1. I believe that Gowdy Commons serves as one of the most important gathering places on campus. Lifelong relationships are created while breaking bread with new friends on a daily basis. I am honored to provide your students with nutrition they need and food they enjoy to help them reach and exceed all of their goals. One thing I would like you to do is please search Bon Appetit at Willamette University, and you will see our website. At the bottom of that website, you will see my email, you will see the chef's email, and my assistant GM's email and phone number. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. There will also be a button you can press to sign up for menu mail. Menu mail will generate an email every night about 3 a.m. and it will be in your inbox when you wake up in the morning. And that way you can see exactly what we're serving your students for all 3 meals. And again, I encourage any questions, and I really am honored to take care of your students.
Thank you so much, Eric. Lots of questions coming in. Keep them coming. We do have some time. As those come in, though, I just want to really highlight that we're here to support your students. We have a really dedicated team that works together to make sure that they have a good experience. Lots of questions coming in. So I know that there was a logistical one around the residence halls and when they close for the winter break. So Heather mentioned this. The students don't have to move their belongings out. They do close, and we do have some housing over the break that would cost additional, but the students don't have to move their possessions out. Heather, can you answer the questions around the exact closure?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. I'll also put it in the chat for visual reference for those people that might need it. And I'll send a link. I was trying to get to that, but send a link to our calendar of dates that has all of our academic calendar. For fall break, that is during November. So for those who celebrate Thanksgiving, we are closed November 22nd through the 24th. We're not closed, our residence halls are open, but we ask students to register. And for our Salem campus, we do not have dining during that time. We also have spring break where we're still open. We ask students to register with us. That's March 25th through the 29th, and there's no food service at our Salem campus. For both Portland and Salem, our residence halls close on Friday, December 15th at noon, and they open back up on Saturday, January 13th at 9 a.m. And so those are the closures over that winter break. But I'll put in the chat the specific calendar, so hopefully that can be helpful for planning purposes.
Okay, and then I'm going to answer the question about someone whose daughter is reading by the stream and was approached. So it says, when our daughter was trying to read by the stream during a recent weekend, she was approached by adult religious members who told her that Jesus loves her, etc., and encouraged her to attend their meetings. Our students protected or warned about the general population approaching them on campus. Is this something that security is aware of? So I'm not sure exactly what happened in that situation. I will say this: we do have a couple student groups that are religious or spiritually based. So it might have been folks aligned with those student organizations who were just doing outreach, or it could have been a community member, somebody who walked on campus. So our campus isn't gated; it is open. Sometimes we have community members walk through, whether it's to take a walk, to walk their dog, to sit at the stream. It's not a closed campus, but we do have a campus safety team that is very present, does rounds, easily accessible, and our campus is actually not too big, and so they're pretty fast in responding and have a good ongoing relationship with the local Salem PD. That being said, if students ever do encounter someone who is harassing them in some way, who won't leave them alone, who keeps trying to talk to them, they should feel free to call at any point. During orientation, we always tell students, like, here, pull out your phone, put in the campus safety phone number, and call us anytime, or come inside, talk to someone who works here. So it is a give and take. That is one of the perks and obstacles, I guess, or challenges of being a campus that is open. It's pretty central to the city, to the center of the city, which is exciting because a lot of students intern at the state capitol across the street or walk downtown to study in coffee shops. But it does mean that sometimes folks drift onto campus. and our students interact with them. I will say we haven't had any like big major incidents like that. We have a fairly secure campus. But if something happens, please tell your students to let us know. If I didn't answer your question fully or you don't feel complete with that, feel free to message me and I'm happy to talk with you offline or set up a time to talk about that somewhere. Can we talk about, let's see, Eric, do you want to talk about the Conoco cafeteria and the challenges there?
Sure. To be honest, Kaneko's opening at this point has less to do with Bon Appetit and more with Willamette's whenever they decide the timing is right. I don't have a whole lot of information on Kaneko, unfortunately. But I can answer the second question I see here about students with 19 meal plan.
Go for it.
So as far as we know, every student should have an opportunity to have lunch within our hours. I'm sure that there's a chance that, you know, there are some outliers, but we did extend the hours for half an hour this semester. It used to be 11 to 2, now it's 11 to 2:30. We learned that there was roughly 50 students on campus who were busy between 11 and 2, but were free for that last half hour. So we decided that we're going to stay open for half an hour. And as far as I know, we've been able to serve most students. If they are not able to eat, we do offer equivalencies at our coffee shop Rick's and our convenience store Blitz. And the way that works is we have salads, we have vegan options, vegetarian options, meat options, we have sandwiches, same thing. And you can go to one of those spots and in place of a meal swipe, you will get an equivalent meal. And that includes either a salad or a sandwich with protein, soup, or I'm sorry, cookie or fruit, and a drink, a canned beverage. So that's kind of how we serve the people who are in a hurry, or maybe they want to grab their lunch and they don't want to eat until 3, they want to throw it in their bag. So that's what we do right now. But if that's not working for your student, I encourage them to reach out to me directly and we'll make sure we figure something out.
Thank you. Chris or Eric, I'm not sure if you know, if you can speak more to some of the food options at the PNCA campus, other than the coffee shop, which is open, I believe, during the daytime, which is when there are the most students there. But Chris, I see you nodding.
Oops. Yeah, thank you for that question. So currently we do have what's called Ramona's Cafe, formerly known, I believe, as Moonflower for folks. But right now, Ramona really has been a great partner and serves in the capacity of providing really a good lunchtime, early or late breakfast, lunchtime for students on that campus. We're actually in conversation around communicating the days so that students are fully aware of the different days. And then we have a coffee cart that's outside as well, that's facilitated and ran by a PNC alum. So that's really great in that coffee cart. He is there until about, I believe, 2:30 in the afternoon. In regards to exploring more food options, I think that's something that we are always thinking about, and we have to have more conversation to see what's available, what's in the area. But one of the benefits that we do have to our space, I think, or at least the location, is that we have a lot of options for students to go for lunches, for quick grab and goes that are ranging in a variety of prices as well. And so we really do, we do share that with our students, but also we promote the services that we do have on campus. So again, it's a topic of conversation to explore to explore more options, but for right now, it's Ramona's, and then the coffee cart outside that we promote to our students for on-campus food options that are available to them. And then we also, obviously, we have our vending machines that we monitor the food that does go in there. So it's not just what quote unquote maybe what people think about as vending machine food. We are really intentional about what we look at and what we put in there for individuals, for our students to grab something very quickly if they need that as well.
Chris, can you talk about some of those the vending options that are maybe not your typical like chips and candy?
Yeah, so besides chips and candy, we do offer things like sandwiches in those machines. We have protein packed items. So we have some of our canned tuna fish items that students can grab. And then for students who do want, say, I'll just do a ramen noodle, for example, if they want a noodle dish that they want to warm up, we do have some of that's available within those vending machines. And then for beverages, it's not just typical soda or pop, depending on where you're from. It's not just that. It's also some good juice option, tea options, water options, if folks want that as well. So lots of option and variety. And we really do empower our students, our student council, to really help us stay on the pulse of what they want to see in those vending machines as well. So that's one of the areas where our students have some voice and agency. If there's something that they may be interested in, then we can most certainly engage in a conversation about what can go in there that might be different, more appealing, and so forth. So we do provide that option or that opportunity for students.
And additionally, just to add, a lot of the programming that they'll do at PNCA will include food. So encourage your students to go out to speakers, performances, and stuff. Often there is like a pretty substantial kind of food offering.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We did have some questions in the chat, like the webinar chat around Conoco. So asking about, is it possible to have a breakfast option, and asking about why the pool there is closed. I don't have the full information on the pool, but I can, unless one of my panelists has that, I can put my email in there and try to get back to you. My understanding with a potential food service in Coneco, it's been closed for a while being a few years, even before COVID. And so having to go in there and examine the equipment and making sure things are up to date is something that's taken some time. It's something that will take some funds. And so it's very much an in-process situation. So I'm sorry that might not feel like a satisfying answer, but it's something that we're working on. And I'll put my email in the chat as well. And lots of praise for the food, which is super great. And I will concur. Many of us as staff eat in Gaudi pretty regularly. There's a question about bathroom privacy. To clarify, will there be upgrades to shower privacy? Does anyone have any information or insight on that?
I'm happy to talk with people individually. I came to Willamette in May 2022, and I would like to know just specific concerns that you might have. There's some ways that we can do things to help provide more privacy, and if someone is willing to share with me just more specific information, I'm happy to have conversations with students about that. We do have some vintage buildings that have very like structured ways that we actually haven't been able to renovate, but it is something that I would like to do, is to provide some gender inclusive restrooms. But at this time we have the restrooms that we have, and there are some ways that we can make them more comfortable to students. So please have them reach out to myself or their residence life coordinator, depending on where they live. I'm happy to answer those questions and hear information.
As we move to the, individual opportunities, I just wanted to go ahead and move to this slide. We can certainly keep going with the question and answer portion of our program, but I know that some of these questions might be better served as individual dialogue. So here are the emails for our panelists this evening. I'll hand it back over to you, Ali.
Thank you so much. There's a question in there about security or safety in Portland. My son has an evening class and is concerned about safety walking to and from the dorms and being an open campus in Portland. What safety precautions does the university have? So we do have 24-hour campus safety presence on both campuses, both in Salem and at our PNCA campus. The student can always request like an escort walk, someone to walk along with them. If your student is working within a certain perimeter, like at a studio somewhere, we have, the glass building where there are studios, where they might go to that. They can also request a ride. But we do have 24 hours. So the security desk is just right there, right at the entrance of the building. And they can stop there, and students utilize that all the time. What students have found really effective, though, is having just a buddy from class. So if there's someone in the class that's also walking back, a lot of times students will do that together and just provide that peer support. Chris, anything to add?
No, I think that really sums it up. Our campus safety really works to ensure that our students know ways in which they can keep themselves safe and really maintain their awareness, whether that is walking to and from Art House and then just to our other buildings as well. And so we regularly communicate with our students around what's happening and then those different strategies. So I would just add those things.
There was some questions around travel or shuttles to PDX, to the airport for breaks. And so Lisa Holiday is typing in that answer if you want to look at that. We do offer some shuttle services, and students will find out about that via their email. So always tell them to check their email so that they can sign up. And that's Salem to PDX. Any questions that I missed, y'all, that you're seeing? Okay, feel free to take a screenshot of this last thank you page that has our contact information. Other than that, that's what we have for you today. We'll have different webinars as we go forward. Eric, I'll toss it back to you to kind of close us out.
Perfect. Thanks very much.
Oh, sorry, I did miss one question that was put in the chat. Can Willamette students get discounts at local restaurants? I don't know that we have any partnerships like that where they get discounts. That would be up to the individual vendors on whether they offer that. I'll look to my panelists. Anyone know of any specific discounts for Willamette students in the area?
I'm told Papa John's gives Willamette students a discount. I'm not positive, but I know that when we order it for our staff during break, when we're completely shut down and with the kitchen shut down, we do get a pretty decent discount.
Okay, good to know.
I will also say that our students are experts at sniffing out really good cheap eats in towns, both the Salem and the Portland campus. So word gets out fast.
Nice.
If your student is at PNCA Burrito Bar, which is really close to campus, they typically give student discounts as well.
Staff discounts, Chris?
I've tried.
I hope that that you all can join us for our family and parent weekend coming up in October, and there's information about that online. We can also put it in the chat. You'll get some outreach about that, but I'll turn it back over to Eric.
All right, thanks so much. Yeah, as you alluded to earlier, this is the first in a series of 10 of these parent family forums that we have planned for this year. So we hope that we'll see you at future ones as well. I'll be getting the word out on the Parents and Family Facebook page. You also can keep an eye in your inbox for specific individual emails for each forum. We'll also highlight them in our parent segment of the WU News that you should be receiving as well. So there's lots of ways for you to stay connected with us, and hopefully you'll continue to join us for, again, for these webinars in the future. So thanks very much to Dr. Olivia and all of our panelists this evening for sharing this information and answering, I think, maybe a record number of questions. So fantastic, great work, everyone. Hopefully our audience found this valuable and informative. And so to all of you, thanks again for joining us. And if you'd like to reach out to a specific administrator for this evening's session, as you can see, the contact information has been up on the screen, but we can also you can reach out to me as well. So I hope that we'll stay in touch, and I hope that everyone takes care and has a fantastic evening.